Welcome to the Author's Studio at Book Expo 2007. We are here with Gabrielle Zevin, author of the award-winning novel Elsewhere. And she is now out with a book entitled Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac. And that's about a 16-year-old young lady who cannot remember anything past her 12th birthday. Hi, Gabrielle.
Hi.
Thanks for coming by. Now, in both of your books, head trauma plays a role. So what do you think accounts for its central role in both of your young adult novels?
Well, I don't actually like to think of myself as a person who's obsessed with head trauma because that makes me sound weird. But actually, I would say that most authors are somewhat obsessed with head trauma because that's where all the books come from. So you do imagine what would happen if I could no longer write books. And for me personally, I would say that I was interested in amnesia because my grandmother, around the time I was writing my first novel, my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And that does make you sort of reflect on the nature of being and what makes a person and that sort of thing. So I would say that's probably where it all started from.
How did the decision to use amnesia as a storyline allow you to explore themes of identity and development of self for your character Naomi?
Well, it's interesting. I think most teenagers are sort of in the process of defining themselves without having really much experience. So in a way, whether you have amnesia or not, you're sort of you're encountering the same sets of issues, I would say. So I was interested in what would happen to a person who was growing up without having memories and experiences. And so that's what it came from, to kind of make it a sort of interesting take on the coming-of-age novel.
Obviously, you have all your faculties, or you wouldn't have been able to produce a couple of books. So I'm wondering, how extensive was your research into amnesia and diseases of the same like?
Well, with any of my books, I try to read everything I can on a topic before I even start. And then once you've done that, that's when you can really start coming up with the story. And for this one, for instance, things I came across in my research really allowed me to discover the character. Like, for instance, I learned that people who have a head trauma have sensitivity to light and cold. So that let me know that I would have this teenage girl who was always wearing winter coats even though it was summer, and she would be having sunglasses on in class and things like that. So I guess that would be where research plugged in here.
When you came up with the idea for the plot, I mean, you told me your grandmother had Alzheimer's, so you were able to experience a bit of that life.
Yes.
How did you come up with the plot? Anything autobiographical about that?
I think that, if anything, I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I was born in New York, and I'm from New York. And I think a large part of the plot came from me sort of longing for New York. So it's a New York story and all that sort of thing. Of course, this doesn't have much to do with amnesia. But I think that, obviously my interest in head trauma probably does come from wondering what would happen if I didn't write books anymore. And actually, I had just been having my first books come out at that time. And, it's just becoming a sort of profession for me. So wondering what I would do if I did something else with my life. So,
in the book, Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac, Naomi does eventually recover her memory, but she's reluctant to tell anybody about that experience. Why is that?
I would say that for most of the book, she has been behind everybody else. Everybody knows more than her. So I think to some extent that she wants to be ahead of everybody else in a way. She now has more knowledge. And I also think that, her life has been going in one direction for a long time. And so I think she's reluctant to sort of reinvent herself yet again. I think what she doesn't come to realize yet is that all people are a combination of the present, the past, and the future. We're all of these things at once. So,
well, popular culture and social is so important to teenagers.
Yes.
And here she is missing 4 years, and a lot of things happen in 4 years in popular culture. Was she worried about being labeled an outcast?
I think probably that wasn't a reason for her not to reveal, but I do think for me personally, actually one of the things that was a catalyst for writing the book was thinking about how you would explain to somebody who hadn't lived in New York during 2001 what September 11th was, that when it was just a historical event, that these things that are sort of
major gaps,
touchstones for us,
yes,
become history and things like that. So I guess that's probably something that I was interested in.
Once again, the name of the book is Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac. The author is Gabrielle Zevin.
Yes.
Gabrielle, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.